Mastercard and Forbes Africa presented the Informal Economy Whitepaper at the Mastercard Indaba, showcasing the rise in this sector. We spoke to Gabriel Swanepoel, Country Manager of Southern Africa for Mastercard, about the study and why it was conducted.
So in South Africa, there are approximately 3.3 million SMME that operate within the small, micro and medium enterprises space in South Africa, which provides a large part of the broader economic activity within the country. But it's a community that's not necessarily digitized, that we don't understand the attitudes necessarily, we don't understand or can articulate the nuances around the operating environments within that space. And this particular study was a focus to understand that environment a little bit better, be able to articulate what the problem and needs are within those communities, and start having a conversation to see how we can solve for and bring those businesses into the formal economy.
Some interesting insights coming from the paper, revealing that South Africa's informal economy is showing signs of movement to switch away from cash. What does that mean?
I think we need to be realistic in terms of the immediacy of cash. We all understand cash, it's tangible, there's immediate gratification around it. And so its ubiquity has been part of the human condition for as long as we can remember. But I think what's important to notice is that we are operating in more complex times, and cash sometimes presents security concerns. It can be lost. You don't necessarily have proof of payment if it is for the payment of goods and services. And so I think that the perception around cash is changing in the sense that digitized payments can in many cases bolster the value that it provides to the consumer and address some of those issues that I mentioned earlier.
Okay. And consumers in the informal sectors, as you say, still using cash, but the perception of cash convenience is declining. Can you elaborate further on this?
So I think there was a very interesting thing that we saw happening in the times of COVID, where there was a significant increase in the amount of electronic transactions that we see, and mainly due to people not being able to travel, as it were, people being further away from ATMs to withdraw cash, which necessitated a little bit of a change in behavior. And as those behaviors have changed, we now see that 65% of people that have moved to digital types of payment instruments are actually comfortable to stay within that space and to keep on using it. And I think what we'll see is a continued proliferation of digital transactions where we have actually deployed infrastructure into that merchant environment that can facilitate those payments.
The financial behavior of the informal sector, SMMEs indicating the need for simpler solutions. How will this be achieved?
So I think in the past, if we had a conversation around electronic payments 10 or 15 years ago, all of the processing capability really resided within the merchant space. So you had to have a very expensive point of sale device that was often rented from a bank or a financial institution. And that didn't necessarily translate into a viable option for the small and micro enterprises environment. But with the ubiquitous nature of mobile phones and the way that smartphones have proliferated our lives, it's now very easy to facilitate a payment using your own device. And so when we think about that enablement factor within the informal economy, it can very easily be achieved both through things as simple as deploying a QR code within that virtual environment that a customer can scan and make payments. And it also translates then into other technologies that Mastercard has got, like tap on phone, for example.